So the theme of tonight is politics of love, and I think you're the perfect person to talk to tonight. You've interviewed over 1,000 single men and women, so you really heard it all. And you're internationally around. You have been a date coach to clients on 6 out of the 7 continents. So Antarctica, we're waiting for you.
Yes.
So I don't know, we got it. Someone's
I feel
there.
like they have other issues in Antarctica, probably.
They do.
Yeah.
They maybe do. But I'm curious because as you saw in the issues video we did with the people out there, that there was a specific New York complaint of people going to New York. What's the difference you see between people who date in New York and elsewhere?
It's hard as hell to date in New York. It really is. It is harder to date here. Like, as a matchmaker, we have a presence across 12 different cities currently. So, like, Chicago, Miami, Boston, Philly, DC, LA, San Fran, so on and so forth. And each city has their own little thing. But New York is hard. Can I see how many people are single in here? You don't have to. Okay, cool. Do you guys, can I buy a round of applause if you feel like it's challenging dating in New York? Yeah. It is. It's hard, and there's a lot of things. You know, the magic of New York is that it's always moving, and there's so many people, but it also can be transient. We're also super motivated, and there's also high expectations that we place on ourselves. And so doing all of that and running that race and making space for someone else can be exceptionally tough. Also, a lot of the Ivies are concentrated on the East Coast, and where, like, in LA, they don't care if you're smart or not. In New York, I will get people that love to include that on their must-haves list. So, like, oh my God. Oh, I've had people say that.
What is this, like,
I roll my eyes, it's dumb.
Oh
it's
my
dumb.
God, wow.
I understand not wanting someone dumb.
Oh,
I get that.
I get
but
that.
Like,
okay, but on that, so I watched you did an interview on the Today Show, and you were talking about this kind of the new trend of women dating shorter, bald men, or like, and my thing is like, maybe it's a little the gays, but I went, are we too picky? Do I have to lower my standards? Like, what do you mean? Like, is it just we have to readjust what we find attractive? Or?
It's that. It's not, I wouldn't say it's lowering standards. It's just, you know, I find that people oftentimes will fall into one or two categories, and you can see where you fit, right? They will either have, you know, they'll have no list at all, and so they're being really open, but then they end up on dates with people, and they're like, why am I here? Like, what is this? And because there's no direction, or they'll have a very long list with 100 things on it, and like, no one has the 100 things. You don't even have the 100 things, so like, let it go. It's about striking the balance in the middle and looking at the bigger picture. I had someone today who was like, I'm youthful. I hear that all the time. And she's like, I'm youthful, and I don't want anyone, like, I don't want to date someone who makes me look old. And I go, is the perception of other people and how you look next to the person you're dating more important than you being in a happy, healthy relationship? Only you can answer that. But like, stuff like that will keep you single real fast. And it doesn't mean you can't be attracted to your person and you shouldn't be. Like, all that should be there. But some of this arbitrary stuff, people don't get divorced over some of the stupid stuff that we put on our list right now. No one in their deathbed is like, but here's my degree. That was a good relationship. Nobody can. It's not that. It's about the person and having, you know, shared vision, shared values, and complementary capabilities.
Right. And also, I just have to bring up, your husband is here tonight.
He
and
is.
I'm looking at this beautiful ring. And I just want to show pictures that were in People magazine. You got married in Kansas City, in your hometown.
Where I'm from.
Thinking about you in your hometown right now,
Thank
especially.
you. Thank you.
What was it like to, like, you know, the theme was soulmates. I love that. Like, what was it like? So like we just talked about. So you began the real world. You have this relationship. You have a very public breakup. Kind of the whole world's watching. And now you have this great. I hate you. It's a fairy tale ending almost. But how do you feel?
Thank you. Well, when I look at it, it's not the ending, and I think that gets people in trouble too. Our marriage is the beginning of the next chapter. Like, it didn't just stop on the wedding day, although my planning stopped, thank God, because that was a lot. It was so stressful. Fun fact, so I know everything I just said about, like, you know, being open around the person and not setting these sort of arbitrary things, but I'm also going to tell you that I went out on a date with my husband initially, like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. We had a great time, but I didn't like his pants. And so on the date, we, you know, so to be fair, he had on normal pants, and then he spilled something on them like coffee before our date, and he didn't have time to go home from the office. So in his office, he had a pair of like joggers, and so he put those on going to our date, and then he told me about them on the date. But he had them pushed up like to his calves and in the sleeves. It was a lot of calf showing, and I didn't really know what to do with that. But we had the best time on the date. Like, we ended up Like, it started with drinks, which you can agree to drinks, but then always say that you're hungry just to see if they'll buy you food. It's a really good way to see how invested they are in you. So I wasn't that hungry, but I was like, oh, we should eat. And he's like, great, good job. So then we sat down, and we were talking. We had the best time. And then he asked me, but he didn't really put a move on me, which is like fine. And then at the end, we said our goodbyes, and the next day he asked me out on another date. And I was like, I don't know if the chemistry's there, but I'd love to hang out, as a friend, because we really did just laugh and have such a great time. He thought I was kind of just like putting him off, and so that was the end of that. Fast forward, he gets in a relationship, I get in a relationship. We both realize those people were terrible. We get out of said relationship, and then COVID happened. Oh. And one night on a Friday night, I was on my phone during COVID because that's all we could do. Everything was closed. And I was on an app called Clubhouse. Do you guys remember Clubhouse? It was popular for 2.5 seconds, right? It's probably just like a virus on your phone now, so you should delete it. And so I get this notification that this guy is following me, and I'm like, oh, because when you're single, you should always be looking for opportunity. Even on social media, if someone new follows you, you go see if they're cute, and then see if they're single. So I was like, who is this? Because I didn't recognize him, so I looked him up on Instagram. And his account was private, so I was like, I'll friend request him, and then if he's weird, I'll just block him, because that's pretty easy. So I friend request him, and right away he accepts, and then he DMs me, and he's like, oh, it's been a while since we had that glass of wine in the West Village. And I'm thinking, either this man is using this as a pickup line, or he thinks all black people look alike. I don't know who he is. And I'm looking through his photos, and I still don't know who he is. And so we keep chatting, and whenever you've run into someone who knows you and you should know them, but you don't want to say, like, who are you, so you play along. You guys have all been there. And so he's, like, saying stuff in the chat. He's like, yeah, and da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, it's great, In my mind, I'm like, I don't know who this man is. And so we keep chatting, and then at some point he starts talking about Kansas City barbecue. And I am such a KC fan. And because I'm from KC, my family's there. And so as he's saying that in the DMs on Instagram, this is all on the same night, by the way, I'm like, wait, that sounds like something I would say. And then I was like, wait, is this Pants Guy? And I didn't say it to him, but in my mind, I'm like, this could be Pants Guy. And so we keep chatting, and then he's like, I'd love to, do a redo and take you out to dinner or do a virtual date if you're more comfortable. So I give him my number. And then the next day was my birthday, and he knew that, and I was flying out to the Super Bowl. So he texted me happy birthday, and when he did, even though I'd never saved his number from all those years prior, no offense, when he texted me, all of our old messages came up, including him asking me on a second date and me saying, it was nice to meet you in your pants. And the thing that was so telling is when I had rejected him, or just said, let's be friends all those years ago, instead of getting mad or not responding at all, his response when I said, oh, I'd love to hang out as friends was, it's a bummer, I understand we both have to feel it. He goes, I don't feel the need to force a friendship, but if it comes around, I'll reach out. Either way, I want you to know I think you're incredible. Wow. And that was the character of the person, right? Yeah. And now he wears his pants down lower, but even if he wore them up, I would to the ends of the earth.
Wow.
I love him so much.
Okay, so many lessons from that. One, his calves, amazing calves.
And they're great.
Anyway, they're great. But also, I love also the hope as someone who gets friend zoned quite a bit. You give me hope, man. You give me hope.